Good day, our dear researchers. The God in me greets the God in you. The purpose of this video is for me to discuss to you the next step that you need to take into account in finishing and accomplishing your research paper. Particularly, the focus will be on research instruments, or this what we call instrumentation. So before we discuss about the procedures on how to do research instrument or instrumentation, let's first talk about the meaning of research instrument according to Creswell and Creswell 2018. Creswell and Creswell 2018 define research instrument or instrumentation as the process of gathering data or information in relation with the set of problems that you have on your research paper. So meaning to say, if you'd like to come up with a good research answer or clarification and answer to the questions you have on your paper, you need to develop good research instrument. Okay? And according to Creswell and Creswell 2018, we have several considerations that we need to take into account in making our research instrument. At ano-ano yung considerations na yon? This consideration has something to do with the three major parts of your paper, particularly the statement of the problem, the research framework, theoretical and conceptual, and then your methodology and design. So let's talk about why it is important for us that our research instrument is aligned with the statement of the problem. Number one is that in the statement of the problem, there we discuss the objectives, the purpose, and the problems that we would like to address in our research paper. Try to imagine you develop a research instrument, and then your research instrument is not answering the statement of the problem that you have. What will happen to the chapters 4 and 5 of your paper? It's a chaotic chapter. No? What will happen if your research instrument does not answer the problem enumerated on your statement of the problem? What's the purpose of presenting the data in chapter 4? Nonsense. No, parang we will just come up with a piece of information that will not serve purpose in our research paper. So mahalaga talaga that our statement of the problem is aligned with our research instrument, and our research instrument is answering the problem that we have in our statement of the problem. Next one is the research framework, particularly the theoretical and conceptual framework. Why it is important that we need to align our research instrument on our theoretical framework to be more specific. It is because the identification of the variables in our paper is being done and being supported by the theoretical framework that we have. If our theoretical framework will not reflect on our research instrument, nonsense yung ginawa nating research instrument. For example, you are studying about the level of job satisfaction ng mga employees, and you adopted a certain theory about job satisfaction. And according to the theory, there are three areas of job satisfaction na kailangan ninyong ma-check. Halimbawa, level of motivation, level of participation, level of productivity. So dapat, kapag nagawa ka ng research instrument mo, mako-cover mo yung tatlong areas na yon. Kasi according to the theory you adopted, those are the parameters that you need to take into account in measuring job satisfaction. Okay? And then lastly is methodology and design. Why it is important for us to develop, or why it is important for us to align our research instrument on our research methodology and design. Simple lang. Because our research methodology and design determine the kind of research instrument we will be using for our paper. Try to imagine, qualitative ka, tapos bigla kang nag-survey. Diba? There's misalignment between the instrument and the methodology. Try to imagine, quantitative ka, tapos bigla kang nag-interview or nag-present ng data coming from the interview. So there's misalignment again on the instrument you will be using. And of course, misaligned na din yung makukuha nating data at misaligned na din yung information na ipapresent natin sa ating chapter 4. Okay, so those are the important key things that you have to take into account in developing your research instrument. Okay? So in developing our research instrument, we need to make sure that it is aligned with our SOP, our research framework, methodology, and design. We develop research instrument for the purpose of answering and gathering data, okay, that will answer our statement of the problem. Okay, ngayon, now that we are already knowledgeable on the types, now that we are knowledgeable on the basic foundational information about the development of research instrument, pag-usapan naman natin, ano-ano ba yung types of research instrument na pwede nating gamitin sa paper natin? Magkaroon muna tayo ng clear distinction. Ano ba yung pinagkaiba ng types of research instrument sa kinds of research instrument? Pag sinabi nating types of research instrument, ang pinag-uusapan natin dito is that ang research instrument mo ba ay self-constructed or adapted? Ano yung pinagkaiba ng dalawa? Pag sinabi nating self-constructed or self-made, the instrument you will use on your paper to gather data is that kayo mismo ang nag-develop. Okay? Yung mga information, yung mga indicators na ilalagay ninyo sa inyong research instrument came from your review of related literature and empirical data. So yung mga indicators na present or ilalagay ninyo sa inyong survey or yung mga questions na itatanong ninyo on your interview might be coming from the review of related literature and empirical data. Kayo ang magde-develop ng sarili ninyong instrument. Okay? Ano naman pag sinabing adopted na letter A? Pag sinabi nating adopted na letter A, ibig sabihin, meron kayong nakitang research instrument sa internet, no, na ang purpose kung bakit siya dinevelop ng mga past researchers ay katulad ng purpose and objectives ninyo, and at the same time, you are measuring the same variables. It just so happened na merong mga terminologies, may mga key terms, or yung construction medyo malalalim. Kaya ang ginawa ninyo, minodify ninyo ng very light or inadjust ninyo ng very light that will perfectly suit on your research paper. Ang tawag doon, adapted. Meron kang nakitang pattern, meron kang nakitang existing instrument sa internet, align katulad ng objectives ninyo, katulad ng mine-measure ninyo na variables, and then meron kang ginawang adjustment or modification, maybe in some keywords, in some key terms, sa construction ng mga sentences. Ang tawag doon, adapted instrument, letter A. Pag sinabi naman natin adopted na research instrument with O, ang ibig sabihin noon, you use directly the research instrument you encountered or you saw from the internet. Halimbawa, you are measuring the level of motivation and you are identifying the type of learning styles ng mga estudyante. Is internet, di ba? Ang dami na nating pwedeng makuhang or pwede na tayong mag-adapt ng iba't ibang mga uh, research instrument na nagme-measure ng learning style or nag-identify ng learning style. So kapag wala kang modification na ginawa, as is mo siyang kinuha, as is mo siyang ginamit sa paper mo, ang tawag doon adapted. Ito yung mga standardized tests, no? Na wala kang gagawing revisions kasi yung objectives, yung variables, yung wording, yung statement exactly nagmamatch sa paper ninyo. And kapag adapted yung instrument, adapted with O, hindi na natin kailangang ipa-validate yung research instrument na gagawin o yung research instrument na gagamitin. On the other hand, kapag self-constructed and adopted na with letter A, since may modification, since may adjustment, since meron kang binago at ikaw yung gumawa, kailangan natin ng validators. So yun yung tinatawag natin na types of research instrument. Okay? Pag sinabi naman natin kinds of research instrument, ito na yung anong kinds under the types ang ginamit ninyo. Halimbawa, tinanong kayo ng panel, what is the type of research instrument you used? So, ang sagot nyo dyan, gumamit po kami ng self-constructed or self-made. Anong kinds naman? Ito na yon. Dito na papasok yung gagamit ba kayo ng questionnaire? Gagamit ba kayo ng interview guide question? Mag-o-observe ba kayo? Kayo ba ay magbibigay ng examination? So on and so forth. So ayun ang pinagkaiba ng types. Types, we're talking about how did you develop the research instrument. Pag sinabi naman natin kinds, ano yung dinevelop ninyo? Okay? So let's talk about the different kinds of research instrument. First, under quantitative. Under quantitative, we have five commonly used. Ito yung usually ginagamit. But aside from these five, meron pang iba. Usually, ang ginagamit dito yung number one, yung questionnaire or yung survey. Under kasi ng questionnaire or ng survey, marami tayong iba't ibang kinds. Nandyan yung Likert scale, nandyan yung checklists, nandyan yung multiple choice, nandyan yung ranking scale. Pero, kahit ano dito yung gagamitin ninyo or kahit alin dito ang inyong ia-adapt or gagamitin sa paper ninyo, kailangan lagi ninyong ika-counter-check ang inyong statement of the problem. Baka kasi gumamit kayo ng multiple choice tapos ang tinitingnan nyo pala dito is level of agreement. Okay? Or baka naman gumamit kayo ng Likert scale. Ang tinitingnan nyo naman dito pala ay select the best option. Okay? So it's very important for us to be knowledgeable on the nature of our statement of the problem. If our statement of the problem is asking about the level of agreement, measuring the attitudes, the opinion, Likert scale, strongly agree, disagree, neutral, strongly agree, and agree. So Likert scale. Okay? Ito yung example ng Likert scale. Now, I will be showing you an example of Likert scale. Ito po. So, the one that we have sa screen natin ngayon, okay, is an example of Likert scale. So, when you develop your Likert scale, do not forget to include the directions. So, this is the direction that need to be understood by the respondents. Okay, so we have here the directions and then nandito din yung scale. 1 is for strongly disagree, 2 for disagree, 3 for neutral, 4 for agree, and 5 for strongly agree. And then, sa pinakababa niyan, presented na agad lahat ng mga indicators na kailangang sagutan ng mga respondents ninyo. So, I have here 10 indicators for this table. Take note, if you have, for example, 5 statement of the problem, and doon sa 5 statement of the problem na yon, 3 sa kanila gagamit ng Likert scale. You need to make sure na yung 3 SOP na gagamit ng Likert scale, meron tig sa 10 indicators. Okay. Sir, bakit ganon? Kasi may mga SOP tayo na hindi naman nangangailangan ng research instrument. Halimbawa, meron kayong question na, is there any significant relationship? So we do not need to develop a research instrument for that kasi yung data na gagamitin for that SOP will be coming from the preliminary SOPs that you have. And the statistician is the one, no? The statistician will be the one to develop and provide an exact computation for that. Dahil halimbawa, may mga SOP din kayo na based on the findings of the study, what recommendation or what output may be proposed. So yung mga ganong SOP, hindi naman sila kailangang isama sa instrument ninyo. Optional. No? Hindi talaga sila sinasama. Okay? So yung tatlo na lang yung natitira. Yung SOP 1, SOP 2, SOP number 3. Kung meron kayong 3 SOPs na nangangailangan ng Likert scale, you need to make sure that each SOP will contain 10 indicators. Okay? And then, iba pa yung usapan para dun sa mga SOP na may mga sub-question. Halimbawa, what is the level of job satisfaction of the employee in terms of motivation, productivity, tapos ay Motivation, productivity, halimbawa ay attendance, halimbawa lang. So, ano yun? Kailangan mong gawan yun ng tigsa 10 indicators. Okay, so, sa isang SOP pa lang, meron ka ng 30 indicators for that. So, ngayon, sir, saan po namin kukuhanin yung mga indicators na ilalagay po namin? So, kung kayo ay self-made or self-constructed, kasi usually yun naman ang ginagamit ng mga researchers natin, you need to browse your review of related literature. Ano ba yung sinasabi ng review of related literature ninyo about your SOP number 1? Okay? Ano ba ang uh, ano ba ang findings ng mga previous researchers that aligns on SOP number 1? For example, you are looking on the positive effects. So if you're looking on the positive effects, lahat positive ang ilalagay mo. And this indicator should be coming from your chapter 2, review of related literature. Halimbawa, sir, hypothetical, na-browse na po namin, nabasa na po namin ng katakot-takot yung aming chapter number 2. Kaso, after reading, nakapag-identify lang kami ng 7 indicators, 7 lang. Eh, ang kailangan po kasi makasampo. Saan po namin kukuhanin yung 3 indicators pa na gagamitin sa paper? Doon papasok yung tinatawag natin na empirical data. Ano pag sinabi natin empirical data? Ito yung based on your observation, based on your uh, pre-interview, kung kayo man ay nag-conduct ng pre-interview. Though kayo ay quanti, pwede kayong mag-pre-interview lang for the sake of knowing the possible indicators na pwede ninyong ilagay. But technically, empirical data will serve purpose as well. Ano ba yung nakikita ninyo? Ano ba yung mga observation ninyo na hindi nakasama o hindi pa na-mention dun sa 7 na una ninyong nailagay? So you may include that as 8, 9, 10. Ano yung advantages kapag ang indicator galing sa review of related literature? Ang advantage kapag ang indicators ninyo ay nanggaling sa review of related literature. Kapag nasa chapter 4 na kayo, interpretation of data, hindi kayo mahihirapang maghanap ng citations. Why? Kasi technically, the indicators came from a citation you've mentioned on your chapter number 2. So that's Likert scale. Okay po. And then aside from Likert scale, pwede rin tayong gumamit ng checklists, no? If you'd like to if you'd like your respondents to identify one answer, halimbawa this one, I will be showing you an example of checklist. Minsan hindi lang one answer. Okay? Halimbawa ito, gusto mong malaman yung age ng inyong respondent. So, pwede mag-check lang sila dyan. Ano yung kanilang sex? Male, female? Not to say or prefer not to say. Anong year nila? Anong monthly allowance? Anong social media ang ginagamit? Nakalagay dyan. Tapos, anong messaging communication app ang ginagamit? Ano yung common tools na ginagamit? So, what they're going to do is just to check, no, yung mga listed options na meron tayo dito sa ating instrument. But aside from that, we also have this what we call multiple choice. No? Alam niyo na naman ang ibig sabihin ng multiple choice. Pag multiple choice, we have provided several options and then the respondents need to encircle the best answer coming from the choices that we have. No? Example ng multiple choice. I will be showing you an example of multiple choice. Ito, yan. So halimbawa, what is your primary purpose for conducting research? A. So pwedeng bilugan mo na siya. Pwedeng wala na tong box na to. Yan. Pwedeng ganyan na lang talaga siya. A. So bilugan mo kung ano yung best answer for you. And then which research instrument do you prefer to gather data? So bilugan mo kung alin dyan ang magiging sagot mo. So that's an example of uh, multiple choice. And then aside from that, meron pa rin tayong ranking scale. Okay? So ngayon, sir, paano po namin malalaman kung anong type of questionnaire or anong kind of questionnaire or anong kind ng survey ang gagamitin po namin? Once again, ibabalik ko sa inyo yung information na we should always reflect on the set of statement of the problem that we have. We need to evaluate the nature, and the data that we need for our statement of the problem. If our statement of the problem is looking for level of agreement, we need to use Likert scale. Okay po. And then, aside from questionnaire as one of the kinds of research instrument, meron din tayong tinatawag na standardized tests. No? Ito yung nasa internet. No? Meron tayong na-adapt na research instrument coming from the internet. Usually, ang meron ng provided na standardized test is yung level of intelligence, achievement, multiple intelligences, yon, meron yun. So, standardized test ang tawag doon. Pag standardized test, hindi na natin kailangan ipa-validate yung research instrument. Pero, kailangan makagain tayo ng access or copyright from the author na nag-develop ng standardized test na yon. Kailangan nating mag-letter sa kanila kung papayagan ba nila tayo na i-adapt natin yung kanilang standardized test. So meron din tayong tinatawag na checklist, no? As one of the research instrument. Ito naman yung meron ka ng provided na behavior na gusto mong obserbahan, and then ang gagawin mo, you will go on a specific place, and then after that, checkan mo na lang kung ano yung mga na-observe mo na behavior, no? Then we also have performance-based instrument kung kayo man ay merong pa-activity sa kanila. So usually hindi ito masyadong ginagamit. And then meron din tayong tinatawag na document analysis form. Okay? Aside dito, meron din tayong ginagamit pa ng mga quizzes, exam. So those are also kinds of research instrument na pwede natin gamitin under ng quantitative. Okay po? Ngayon, under naman ng qualitative, meron din tayong different kinds of research instrument na pwedeng gamitin. Usually, ang pinaka-ginagamit dito is yung number 1 and number 2. Okay? Number 1 is yung tinatawag natin na interview guide. No? Kumbaga, for your data gathering, what you will do is that you will conduct an interview. Okay? For you to have the information needed for your statement of the problem. This is under ng qualitative. Okay? And then, under ng interview, meron tayong iba't ibang uri ng interview na pwedeng gawin. Okay? We have different types of interview. Those are, number 1, structured. Pag sinabi natin structured, from the name itself, fixed na yung question. Kung ano yung question na pinirepare mo, yun lang yun. If you prepared 5 questions to be asked during the interview, yun lang yun. No more add-ons, no more additional. Fixed ang question. Structured interview. Pag sinabi natin in semi-structured interview, you have prepared question, but you may conduct follow-up question in case that you think your participants provided you with non-substantial information. So ano po yung ibig sabihin ng non-substantial information? Hindi niya nasagot yung tanong mo. Or medyo malayo yung tinutumbok ng sagot ng participant. So you may conduct follow-up question. O di kaya naman, interesting yung sagot ng participants on the interview. So you may elaborate that by asking follow-up question. Pag sinabi naman unstructured, from the name itself, conversational lang. Basta ang alam mo lang, you have this statement of the problem, ito yung title ninyo, and then ito yung mga random questions na pwede mong itanong. You are not prepared. Kumbaga, para tong talk show lang na conversational lang yung flow, informal. So, if you're going to ask me, in these 3 types of interview, ano dito usually yung pinaka-best na gamitin? Obviously, that's semi-structured interview. Kasi at least kahit pa paano, you have the prepared question, pinaghandaan mo siya, and then, in case that you have a follow-up question, you may conduct a follow-up question or you may ask a follow-up question. Ngayon, paano siya ginagawa? Kapag ba nag-conduct ka ng interview and then kaharap mo na yung participants mo, agad-agad ba magbibigay ka na ng question? Agad-agad ba itatanong mo na yung question na ano po yung problem na nai-encounter ninyo sa company? Or ano-ano po yung common challenges na nararanasan po ninyo? O di kaya naman, paano po kayo tinutulungan ng administration para malampasan yung mga problema? Ganun ba agad yung setup? The answer is no. Because we have the structure, we have the pattern on how to ask questions. And I have here, let's have another file, this one. I have here the parts of an interview na dapat present or dapat mo observe ninyo when you conducted your interview. Number one, when you conduct interview, the first thing that you have to do is to ask opening question. Magtanong ka muna ng mga opening question. Ano ba yung purpose? Why we do or we ask opening question? It is for the purpose of developing connection or rapport, no? Kapag kasi may connection ka na or kapag may rapport ka na with your participants, makukuha mo na no yung kiliti niya, no, and then masaset mo na din yung tone. Pag sinabi nating masaset mo na yung tone, magigauge mo na yung ambience, mapapakalma mo na, hindi na siya kakabahan, mag-o-open na siya sa'yo, so ganon. And then at the same time, sa opening, doon din natin dinidiscuss yung purpose ng interview, kung para saan ba yung interview na gagawin natin, papaano natin iingatan yung confidentiality ng ating mga participants. No, I have here uh, pattern kung paano siya ginagawa. So, greet the participant, good morning po, magandang buhay, kamusta po kayo, kumain na po ba kayo? And then you introduce yourself. I am Joanne A. Mangarin from BSED English Major 4 and we are conducting research about the integration of AI in technical writing skills and the purpose of this research or interview is blah, blah, blah. Then, rest assured po na lahat po ng information na ibibigay niyo po sa amin will be kept private. Hindi po namin kayo papangalanan. We will not mention any names on this interview. If you'd like to use code name or pseudonym, that would be better. Okay? Okay na po ba na simulan po natin yung interview? That's it. So kapag nagawa mo yun, masaset mo na yung tone, makukuha mo na yung rapport, yung connection with your participants of the study. And then kapag nakuha mo na yung rapport, kita mo ng okay na, pwede na tayong magtanong ng mga question. Here comes now the body or the main discussion. Ang purpose ng body or ang purpose ng main discussion is for us to gather the relevant and important data that perfectly align on our statement of the problem or research question. Pero, when you ask questions on the body, wag mo itatanong direkta kung ano yung question niyo sa statement of the problem. If possible, you create at least 2 to 3 questions that will lead on the main point of the statement of the problem. Hindi porket halimbawa, ang tanong ninyo sa statement of the problem ay what are the challenges experienced by the employees in the adaptation of AI? Okay? Hindi pwedeng, ma'am, ano po yung mga problemang nararanasan ninyo sa opisina in the adaptation of AI? Hindi pwedeng ganon. You may think of at least 2 to 3 questions that will lead on that statement of the problem. Okay po. So yun yun. So main discussion will be present on the body. Napakahalaga ng body on the interview. Kasi here, itinatanong yung mga questions na dapat masagot for the statement of the problem. And kapag nakuha mo na yung information needed for your research paper, there's no more questions to be asked. Here comes now this what we call closing or wrapping up. Patapusin na natin, no? Kailangan kapag nag-end tayo, we need to end politely. And we have to create a good impression with our participants. How we will create good impressions? Sabi natin na after po namin ma-process yung sagot po ninyo, we will inform you regarding the result of this study for you to be knowledgeable as well on the context and experiences of the participants. And ano lang po, for checking lang po, tama po ba na ito po yung mga sagot na na-mention po ninyo? Kung wala na po kayong gustong ipa-revise, do we agree that your answer will be used for the purpose of serving this research? Okay po. Do you have anything to say pa po? If you have anything to say, ano po 'yon? If you don't, maraming salamat po sa oras na nilaan niyo po sa amin. Okay po, your insights and information play a vital role in the success implementation of this research paper po. Maraming salamat po. So that's it. No, that's it. That's how we end our interview. No? So to sum it up, opening, we build report, body, we gather information, then closing, we wrap up. Okay? But aside from the interview, we also have this what we call focus group discussion. Okay? Ano naman ang pinagkaiba ng focus group discussion or FGD sa interview? Pag sinabi natin interview, ito yung process kung saan one-on-one. Halimbawa, Ma'am Charmish is one of my participants. I will ask her ano yung convenient time niya para interviewin ko siya. So and then magbibigay siya sa akin ng time. And then, mag-interviewhan na kami. I will ask her all the information that I prepared for the purpose of this research. So, interview yon. Pero kapag ganito na, halimbawa, si Ma'am Charles, tapos kasama na rin si Ma'am Ana, kasama na din si Nurse Lala, kasama na si Ma'am Karina. 5 na kami na nag-uusap-usap. Apat na sila na ini-interview ko at apat na sila na sumasagot ng questions na pinirepare ko. Ang tawag doon, focus group discussion. Yung interview questions na pinirepare ko, ayun man ay structured, semi-structured, or unstructured. Kapag yan ay tinanong ko na in group of people, composed of 2 or more, ang tawag na doon ay focus group discussion. Ang purpose niyan ay para nagkakaroon sila ng sharing. Nagkakaroon sila ng sharing of information. Usually, ang focus group discussion is composed of, merong iba nagsasabi 4 to 6, meron namang iba nagsasabi 6 to 12. Okay po? Basta ang focus group discussion, it's composed of several individual expert on that particular field, and then yung interview guide na tinanong mo, halimbawa yung semi-structured interview guide na tinanong mo, you will ask that to them ng sabay-sabay, and then they will share their experiences. Maganda sana yun kung yung mga participants mo have common time. Okay? Then aside from that, meron din tayong observation notes, meron din tayong document analysis, halimbawa, yung mga record ng mga businesses, yung mga record ng mga bata, yung mga post ng mga bata, gusto nyo i-analyze, gusto nyo i-critic sa document review analysis. And then meron din tayo ditong audio-visual materials. Halimbawa, pinanood kayo ng TV or may mga videos, doon kayo magbe-base sa information ninyo. So that's it. So those are the different uh, kinds of research instrument that we have under qualitative. Okay? So i-clarify lang natin, no? When we talk about types is different from kinds. Types, we're talking about paano natin dinevelop yung research instrument. Is that self-constructed or self-made? Is that adapted or is that adopted? Types yun. Pag sabi natin kinds, for example, you develop self-constructed instrument. And then, anong kinds? Likert scale po. Multiple choice po. So, that's it. Okay po. So, halimbawa, tapos na. Nakagawa na kayo ng research instrument for your quanti and quali. Or kung kayo ay man ay mixed method, you have to decide as well kung ano ang gagamitin ninyong research instrument. Gagamitin nyo na yung form na meron tayo sa RDC. Ito yung form na meron tayo sa RDC. Yung Form 6. Open nyo lang yung Google Drive natin. So sa Form 6, ito yung mga kailangang meron tayo. First page, ilalagay natin dito kung sino yung ating napiling validator. So yung pangalan ng validators, yung title natin, and then saang program tayo galing, and then researchers, and then approve ng validators. Kung sa online, i-send nyo sa kanila yung copy ng inyong research instrument. Then after that, hindi dapat mawawala yung tama naman. So dapat ilalagay natin yung revised introduction ng paper natin for the basis of checking the instrument. Nakalagay din ang theoretical framework, SOP, research methodology and design, sampling technique, and respondents of the study. So this information should be included on the Form 6 for validation. Bakit po sir inilalagay yan? Para merong point of reference ang ating magiging very good validators. Now, after that, halimbawa, kayo na yung bahalang mag-add space, add space kung ilang space man ang makokonsume mga anak ha. And then after that, third section is yung mismong instrument na ninyo. Halimbawa, kukuhanin ninyo yung pangalan, kukuhanin ninyo yung course, yung age, yung gender, yung mga naka-yellow dyan, that's subject for revision. Nagbabago yan depending on the nature or kung ano yung pangangailangan ng study ninyo. Okay? So ngayon, halimbawa, gumamit ako ng Likert scale. So I will just copy my Likert scale develop. So halimbawa, ito yung Likert scale ko. So ito yung directions, ikakopy ko yan for SOP number 1. Then after that, ipipaste ko siya dito. Yan. Palitan ko na to kasi meron naman akong sariling ginawa. And then yung indicators, so ikakopy ko lang yung indicators na ginawa ko. Ito, I have here 10 indicators. Transfer ko lang siya dito. Then ilagay ko siya dyan. Yan. So presented there are the indicators for my SOP number 1. Sir, bakit ganyan yung format? Bakit merong accepted, may revised, may rejected? Kasi ang gagawin ng inyong validator, halimbawa, for indicator number 1. Okay. Okay naman yung validator number 1. Indicator number 1 accepted. Number 2. Sige, okay naman yung number 2. So, check. Wait lang. May problema ako sa indicator number 3. Medyo mali yung grammar. So, kailangan ko siyang i-revise. Tapos, magko-comment siya dito. Halimbawa, wrong grammar. Okay. Wait lang. Yung number 4. Hindi siya naka-align sa SOP. Magko-comment siya dyan. Not aligned to the SOP. So, that's it. That's the process. Ulitin nyo lang yung process na yon for SOP number 2, SOP number 3 kung meron pa kayong table. Sir, halimbawa naman, interview po kami. So, ano gagawin po namin kapag interview? So, lagay nyo din dyan. Halimbawa pala, multiple choice. Sir, halimbawa, multiple choice po kami. Ano pong gagawin? Madali lang din yan. Ganito lang. Pag multiple choice, halimbawa, checklist. So, copy natin to, directions. Hindi pala. Mag-create muna lang tayo ng panibago. Halimbawa, SOP number 2 ko ay check. So, ang gagawin ko, i-copy ko lang yon, mag-a-add lang ako ng data, tanggalin ko lang yung mga information na inilagay ko na kanina. So, delete ko lang yan. Tapos, transpose ko lang yung directions na ginawa ko. Excuse me. Lagay ko lang dito yung directions. Yan, I have the directions there. Then, kakopy ko siya. Halimbawa, number 1. Ito, copy ko to. Lagay ko siya para dito. Di ba? So beautiful. Number 2. Copy ko lang. Ano ba yung question number 2 ko? Okay. I'm asking about the sex. So, i-copy ko lang yan. Then, i-paste ko lang siya dito. Ganyan lang yun. Di ba? Napaka-basic naman. Ayusin na lang natin. Ganyan na lang. Tapos, tanggalin na lang natin siguro yung number. Yan. Ganyan. So, ang gagawin dyan ng validators, ganito. Okay. Paparevise ko yung male ay yung age kasi mas gusto kong mas gusto ko siyang fill in the blank. Ganyan lang gagawin ng validator. Yung number 2 ipaparevise ko siya. Kasi ayoko nang merong prefer not to say. So remove prefer not to say. Baka lahat ng respondent hindi na magsabi. So ganyan lang yung magiging context ng ating validators. Ganun din ang gagawin ninyo kung kayo man ay multiple choice or whatsoever. No? Halimbawa naman, sir, interview po kami. So, how we will do the validations for the interview? So, ito, gamitin lang natin yung template for the interview. So, palitan yung mga naka-yellow and then ito, lalagay ko ito dito. Tanggalin ko siya. Halimbawa, ito yung interview guide questions ko. Ito. And ito, halimbawa, example lang, no, hindi talaga to questions, pero ito na yung ilalagay natin. Halimbawa lang yun. Just for the sake of discussions and argument. So, yan. Diba? And then, ano pa yung sunod kong questions? Ito. Ano ba yung sunod kong questions dito? Ito pala, may questions pala ako dito. So, paste ko na siya dito. Oh, yun. Ganyan na siya. Ang gagawin, hanggang sa ilagay nyo lahat ng questions sa interview. So, ang gagawin ng validators, ganun lang ulit. Okay, accepted lahat. Very good. Magaling ang gumawa ng research instrument na to. So, that's it. That's the process of creating your research instrument and the context of validation. So I hope and I pray, my dear researchers, that you're able to understand the procedure, the process, and how we do the instrumentation and the context of validation. So you may now start developing your research instrument. Thank you so much. Goodbye and God bless.